Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are living in a very fast-paced world, and there are a lot of demands that have been put on the individual in terms of meeting his responsibilities in his day-to-day life and also meeting his objectives in life. And whilst the individual strives to meet these objectives, he gets into a situation whereby he can no longer take it. He can no longer meet the objectives that he has set either for himself or the world has set for him. And it leads to a situation which is termed as stress. With us tonight to discuss about the issue of stress management, we have our brother Yusuf Maroka. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Brother Yusuf, you have authored a book, Stress Management and Islamic Perspective. And most of the time we hear people talking about, I'm stressed. What is stress?
Thank you very much, Brother Salim. I've authored a book about stress. And the reason why I authored this book actually was demanded by people themselves. I've been giving lectures. I'm a teacher by profession, and therefore I've been handling people of different levels. Through question and answer sessions, I came to learn that many people are actually victims of stress, and some of them don't know. Through my answering and coming up with researching, I found myself writing a book. Stress, we can say, is a situation whereby there is imbalance between the environmental demand and the capabilities to respond to these demands. Whenever there is a lot of demand, pressure, either from the environment, from the self, inner self, from workplace, marriage, these demands are there, and they will be there. They will be there. But when you perceive that you have less capabilities, when you feel that you don't have enough skills to deal with these demands, then you create an environment within yourself that I cannot afford. So the fight that is within, it releases these hormones that makes you feel like you are in an imbalanced situation. Then you become stressed.
In terms of classification, stress being a very wide subject, what are the known kinds of stress or the types of stress that are there?
The different scholars have categorized stress under different types, but there are those who have said we have environmental stress, we have situational stress. Environmental here means maybe you're in a room that is too hot or very cold for you, or dusty, stuffy, so it causes stress. Situational, sometimes workplace, the situation that you are in. Maybe you are in a queue waiting for an interview. There is that kind of feeling that is situational. It depends now. You can have environmental, situational, or demands, just normal lifestyle demands. You want to drive this kind of car, you want to live in this kind of house, you want to wear this kind of dress, and you don't have, you cannot afford them. So it depends.
From a layman's perspective, what are the prevalent causes of stress? What causes a person to say, I am stressed?
What causes a person to say I'm stressed, Brother Salim, is as easy as saying, I am afraid of what is going to happen. When people are really under pressure and feeling that I must fulfill this, and he doesn't have ways of coming up with solutions, you find this person is under stress. The feeling of fear of the future, fear of the current past and the near future. Let me put it that way. Fear of the current past, something that has just happened, and the near future. What am I going to do next? creates an environment where someone feels himself or finds himself in a stressful situation?
Well, we are living in a world where we are interacting with each other every other day. And as you have put it, is that there's a lot of stress because people are seeking to meet certain demands and they do not have the means to meet those demands. So, well, if you were to look at me, what would be the telltale signs that Salim here is stressed?
Yeah, there are those hidden signs and symptoms. Sometimes people, many, especially men, I want to address men. Men are very good in, they pretend, they're good pretenders. Someone is stressed but is a pretender. A stressful person, Salim, will sometimes forget very simple things. He might even forget what he was sent by his wife to buy from the shop. This is a sign that this person, there's something really disturbing him. Sometimes you find physical signs like some pains. You feel muscular pains, some parts of head, you have some pains in some parts of the head, back pain. These are some of the physical signs of a stress. Sometimes finding himself in a situation where he is like out of his mind, absent-minded a little bit. You are in a group discussing a topic and you come up with a comment that is not related in that topic at all. You can tell that this person, there is something in his head that is really disturbing him, and you can tell that this person is stressful.
Well, just to stretch it a little bit, you know, how would I be able to differentiate between a stressed person and a person who's simply either trying to be lazy or they're trying to be truant? And in this, maybe I need to give an example. Some people in the morning, they would shy away from waking up from their beds. We are naturally expected to be up at around 5 so that we can say our Fajr Salah. And somebody would be in bed, and if the wife or the partner asked them, why are you not getting up? They would say, oh honey, I'm stressed. So how do we get to differentiate within those situations whereby it's stress and it's something else?
They are interconnected. Sometimes we cannot differentiate, we cannot separate the two. Because morning dizziness, feeling of morning tiredness is also one of the symptoms and signs of a stressful person. So when you see this person maybe doesn't want to get out of his bed, don't say maybe it is laziness, because our bodies should be always fresh. We should be feeling comfortable all the time. But when there is something that you feel like your body doesn't want to respond to what your mind or you want to do, it might be one of the signs or early stages of someone who is stressed. So I don't want to say that when you don't want to wake up, you are lazy. Yes, you might be just lazy. You ate too much and therefore, or you slept late and therefore, or maybe you spend much time on watching TV and those scenes are still in your head, so they're giving you a lot of your mind is tired processing these things. So by the time it's morning, you're tired. But also we should not assume that this person is lazy. It is important also to find out more. It might be one of the signs of stress.
At what point during the whole process of stress management do you get to point out and say, now it's no longer stress, it's become a mental condition or mental illness?
In my book, there is a topic that I suggested. It is very important. You know, we as Muslim scholars, there is a topic of exorcism, ruqya, and I suggested that it is always very important to work together with medical practitioners, especially psychiatrists, so that we don't end up treating someone we think maybe it's just a stress, or maybe someone is possessed while actually is under stress. So it is very important to have a record, or maybe if you're living with him and you've been seeing this kind of signs and symptoms for the past 2 weeks, don't just keep quiet on it. It is very important to go and find out more from a medical practitioner, so that at least you can be able to differentiate or find out whether it is normal stress or it is something related to possession, gene possession. So sometimes it is just normal pressure in someone's mind. If you allow this person to rest and settle down and have a discussion with him, maybe allow him to speak what is affecting him, it may just end up like that. But when it persists, you talk to this person after 2 days, the same person is doing the same thing after 3 days, after 1 week, it's getting worse to the level of forgetting himself, starting having hallucination, starting talking himself, then that is, it's going towards a red sign. It's very important to take this person, to take care of this person.
In your book, and allow me to indulge in the content of your book, and congratulations for this kind of work. It's very useful. In your book, you have elaborately gone into 3 main areas of stress. You're talking about stress that is due to parenting, you're talking about stress in marriage, and you're talking about workplace. So I'd like to indulge you in these 3 areas so that we can shed more light on this. Let's start with the area of parenting. You've talked about stress in parenting. What were you aiming at? What were you driving at? Because parenting is parenting, and everybody has their own designs on parenting. They have their own objectives which they want to meet in their parenting. They know where they want to take their families and all that. So what, again, would bring stress in this kind of situation?
Parenting, Brother Salim and viewers, is one of the institutions that I feel like many people get into these institutions unqualified. They enter into parenting while they're too young. What I mean here by too young is mentally, not in terms of body or physical appearance. Why am I insisting on parenting? When you look at, just do your own analysis. Go to any of our Muslim Qadhi's office nowadays and find out 2017, how many marriages were there and how many divorces were there. You will be surprised to find out that maybe divorces are double the marriages that took place, or even triple the marriages that took place in 2017 alone. This is because we are not ready for parenting. Brother Salim, yesterday there was fire in Madari. Around 500 families actually lost their valuable things. This morning I woke up and I said, let me pass by and see what is happening. In the midst of the people, I saw a lady seated somewhere, and she was with 2 kids. She was calling one of them by an Islamic name. So I was interested, and then I went there. You know, this is a woman who was divorced, living in that small Mabati house, and she lost everything. Then I asked about the father of the kids. She said he's there, but when they called him that night, what did he say? Watajipanga, mtajipanga. Simply because there was divorce. What do I mean by this? Yes. This man does not have parenting skills. One of the major stresses in our current situation is brought up by parenting issues. Early divorces, 2 months, 3 months. I've seen 2 months, 3 months divorces. I've seen 1 week divorce. I don't know what they celebrated in that marriage. I've seen a family being split. Mother goes with 2 kids, the father goes with 3. Parenting issues. This is one of the major areas where people are really suffering stress because they don't have the required skills of parenting. And that's why I always feel it is one of the areas that we need to talk about it. And Brother Salim, before I forget, I can't shy off. Muslims, I will say this openly, we are still in the dark area, in the dark world, in the dark age, if I can put it, when it comes to stress and stress management. It's like Muslims have taken the qadar and they have forgotten that we can study and learn this thing. They feel like what happens, Allah had planned. They forget that some of these things are the work of our own hands. Allah said in the Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى تَهْلُكَ. Don't enter into destruction by the use of your own hands.
Well, we shall be taking a break, and when we come back, we will go deeper into the other areas of stress management that you have talked about, and this is stress in marriage and also stress in the workplace. Viewers, we are hosting Brother Yusuf Maroka, who's also the author of a book, Stress Management and Islamic Perspective. And tonight, we are looking at the issue of stress management and giving it an Islamic perspective. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show, and tonight we're discussing the issue of stress management and Islamic perspective. Brother Yusuf, you are telling us about the three areas of stress management, and that is the parenting area, the marriage area, and the workplace area. I'd like you to shed more light on stress management in marriages. We're seeing a situation whereby right now we are having increased cases of domestic violence and also spousal violence. What is it about stress that is causing these unfortunate situations?
Thank you very much. Dating is a recipe for divorce. Underline that.
Yes.
Before even we enter into marital life, most of us have already prepared for disaster. Mm-hmm. We have borrowed the Western culture that we must date. Mm-hmm. You've seen some kind of celebrations where people celebrate the Day of Lovers and all these things. Mm-hmm. The moment we indulge in dating before marriage, we are starting to kill the sweetness of marriage. You've known this person for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Now, when you enter into a serious environment of marriage, and that is the marriage now itself, whereby now you guys are going to marry and live together, it's like you've already practiced everything that you need to do in marriage. Mm-hmm. So it's like a repetition. And this reputation this time, Brother Salim, it's coming with demand. You must now. It was not about dilly-dallying. Mm-hmm. My friend, my love, I love you. No. Now it's a demand. There is no laughing matter anymore. Mm-hmm. If it's house rent, you have to pay. Mm-hmm. If school fees, you have to do it. It's food, you have to buy. Now you find yourself like, these demands are too high on me. Mm-hmm. I think this lady is the one who is putting a lot of pressure on me. Mm-hmm. But remember, you had killed the sweetness of marriage even before starting the marriage itself. Mm-hmm. But if we try to live our Islamic life, we wait until the time we get married. And then our marriage life begins there. Mm-hmm. It will take you 2 years to know the third name or the fourth name of your wife or your spouse.
Yes.
Then after that, it will take you another 2 years to know some other characters. By the time you learn this person fully, it's 8 years. Who will separate that marriage? Then from there now you start living the marriage life. That's why our grandparents lived for long. They did not start quarreling in 2, 3 years.
Well, the times that we are living in are a little bit different from what the dictates or the values of our religion would expect from us. So how do we manage this situation to make sure that at least we are able to manage the results of what we have in our hands?
I like the way you say we are living in a different time. But our constitution, I'm referring to what?
The Quran.
The Quran.
Yes.
Quran is not outdated. Quran lived the past, the current, and it will live in the future. In other words, Quran is always up to date. Mm-hmm. Just like our gadgets nowadays, every time updating. Quran was updated 1,400 years, 339 years ago. Yeah. Now, there is no excuse a Muslim can say that we are living in a different world. It is we must live the life of the Quran first, then apply our current situation, balance it with what Quran wants, and we are good to go. Quran also recognizes that we are in a different era. Quran cannot put demand on you on something that you cannot afford. That is what is clear in the Quran. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah may not burden a soul except for what it can afford. We are trying to amend our constitution, and that one cannot happen. When we borrow some cultures, when we want to live like some people, other people, Brother Salim, when a Muslim wants to live a photocopy kind of life, he will end up living a miserable kind of life. This person will live a stressful life forever. But when a Muslim lives in a original life that is supposed to live in, this person will live a stress-free life. And if it is stressful life, it's not a negative stress. It will be a eustress. He will be stressful, but stressful that is good. We have good stress also. That is the kind of life this person will live.
Stress management in the workplace.
Good.
A good chunk of the population depends on work to be able to meet their day-to-day demands and needs.
Yeah.
Most of us are employed, and we expect, to go to the workplace. And in the workplace, these are businesses, and the businesses have to make money. So there's, again, a lot of stress that is put up on the people.
Yeah.
Again, coupled with the fact that the same person is coming from home with stress from home on the domestic front and on the marital front. How do we manage stress in the workplace?
That is another world of, this is a dangerous world. The moment you have accepted that I'm going to be employed, I'm going to be an employee, you've signed that contract. It is not indicated there, Brother Salim, but you're signing that I'm entering a stressful environment. You must meet the demands. You must meet the targets. Many companies nowadays come with targets. We need to be here, we need to be here. And you are there. You are paid for that. But at the same time, Brother Salim, workplace stress are mostly because of our inability to meet the target, number one. Number two, we want to meet the targets in overnight, which is not possible sometimes. And I want to tell employers that you don't need to be rich in a day. If you've employed this person, give him time. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. If he doesn't deliver this, you have a right to say, I think you cannot deliver. But some of our employers want us demand today, tomorrow I want the results, which is not possible. Another cause of stress in workplace, sometimes it's because of the duties allocated, and also the powers different people at workplace they have. You might be maybe a manager in a company. Someone else is an HR. There is a head of certain department. Maybe the difference in salaries, maybe there is difference in salaries. So some people feel like because this person is paid more, he is enjoying life. Not forgetting that maybe he's even more stressful than you, that you are paying low. There is this feeling that maybe I want to be in that chair. I want to be in that office. Maybe when I'm there, I'll have less stress. But Brother Salim, the hierarchy goes, the horizontal hierarchy. When you go, the higher you go, scientists say the cooler it becomes.
Yes.
And can you stay in a fridge?
No, you can't.
In a freezer?
No.
Then if it is cooler, it is dangerous.
Yes.
It is dangerous. So there is this feeling like this person is very close to my boss. Maybe I want his job, this kind of. It also brings a lot of stress. You find someone is always, and how do we see this? Maybe I mentioned this. Have you ever seen your boss or someone coming without even greeting people in the office and passing by, looking at people like, because maybe you think, what happened at home? It's not even at home. Maybe it is because of, I'm not in the position I want to be in this company. I want to be somewhere else. But they're forgetting that at that particular time, it's God, Allah, who has put them there. And looking for leadership, by the way, is against Islamic teaching. It is against Islamic teaching. Quran has actually told us not to look for leadership, and even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And therefore, that's why we Muslims are not supposed actually to campaign for themselves. Vote me, vote me. No. Who are you to so that we can vote you? It is the consensus. So one of the major causes of stress in workplace is lack of satisfaction on your position. Stay where you are. Manage your affairs better. Use ATM once a week or twice a month. Don't want to spend much. Meet the demands. If you can't, communication. Tell your boss in advance, in 2-3 days, I think I cannot meet what you, and the reasons are A, B, C, D. This day you sent me somewhere, so I was not in office the whole day. That's why I did not do A, B, C, D. If there is that communication with your boss will understand you. And I'm telling you, you might even not go to job, and you call just by the virtue of calling, and he will understand you.
I take note that out of the 3 areas, parenting, marital, and workplace, that there has been some substantial effort towards addressing stress, and that is in terms of marital and workplace. There has been a lot of effort that has been put in place. People have started different initiatives. Now you find, like in the case of the workplace, HR practitioners are also being trained on stress management. On the marital front, you have all sorts of pseudo-social bodies that have come up to try and assist people deal with marital stress. How come we have neglected the most important area, and this is the area of parenting stress?
I feel we have assumed that this is something which is known. Someone new that is going to get married and is going to have kids, and it is his responsibility. I think that has contributed to that. I also feel like people are more interested in areas that there is income, there is gain, there is some feedback. You know, I know if I train a HR, maybe I'll earn money through that, something like that. But parenting is nowadays has been taken as individual responsibility. Salim, I believe, Brother Salim, you were born in back in 70s, and we were raised up in a situation where parenting was a communal affair. I was willing to be punished by an elder, but I beg him not to report that case to my father, because it was a communal affair. Nowadays, it is you and your kids. If whatever they do to you, it's none of our business. That's why we have neglected it. And actually, it is now getting out of house, out of our hand, and going back. It is affecting the community, society, and the country at large.
The youth that we are having today, they're living in a world where they want it all. They want it now, and they want it in the way that they want it, you know, according to their own terms. And this has resulted in a lot of stress amongst our youth. What is happening to our youth, and what is causing all this stress in their lives?
Well, that is another area. You know, I can say because of lack of parenting, because of lack of role model, the parents are not able nowadays to take care of the kids. They are not within the command of maybe telling their kids do this and don't do that. And therefore kids have taken the responsibility in their own hands. Kids are teaching kids. The social media nowadays, you'll find that out of 1,000 comments, there is no one single, or maybe one only, that will be a kind of educative comment. Others are just junk. Youth have no direction. Youth have borrowed what they see, what they view on different social media platforms, so they think that is the life they should live. That is the cause why nowadays I can say youth have become puppets of social media. They're not living their own life. They're just being, the way they're driven, the way they see people living, that is how they want it to be. And this is very dangerous. And that's why we don't have parents of tomorrow. I'm scared that maybe we may not be having the right parents of tomorrow. Because youth have, let me address Muslim youth right now. They have abandoned completely the teaching of Islam, and they have borrowed the culture that is not in their religion, and therefore they have lost direction.
Well, we are taking a break, and tonight we're discussing stress management and Islamic perspective. When we come back, we shall give it an angle towards how do we get to manage stress from purely an Islamic perspective. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show. Tonight we are hosting Brother Yusuf Maroka, who has written a book, Stress Management and Islamic Perspective. And we are addressing the issue of stress management and Islamic perspective. Brother Yusuf.
Yes.
Islam did not leave anything to chance. Islam has basically addressed all the issues that usually a human being will be encountered with in their day-to-day life until they get to the end of their lives.
Crystal true.
Yes, Islam has addressed the issue of stress, and we have been taught by none other but our teacher and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that when we encounter stress, it is more of a trial, and from it we should expect expiation of our sins. How much do we take this to value?
A young man came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and into brackets, a stressed young man.
Yes.
What was causing stress? He had fallen in love with a young lady too much, and he didn't know how to approach the situation. He came to Prophet Muhammad and requested for a permission if he can be allowed one chance just to sleep with that woman out of marriage, zina.
Yes.
Look at, you know, I'm surprised at how courageous this young man is to go and request for a permission to commit a haram act. And the person who is being requested is none other than the Prophet.
Yes.
So I'm looking at a situation where youth should learn a lesson that face it. That is one of the things that Islam has actually taught us. What the Prophet ﷺ said, young man, really you want to do it? He said, I really want to do it. I cannot afford to marry, but allow me that I commit zina once and I will not do it again. The Prophet smiled. Look at the Prophet ﷺ. If it were you or me,
we would frown our faces.
Or feast. Yeah. The Prophet smiled and said, young man, wow, you've requested for a very big thing. Then he called him and they sat down. Counseling began. And that's why I say we need counseling. Muslims should study counseling. Counseling began. The Prophet asked him, you really want it? He said, I really want it. Now, put it this way. If someone comes to me in front of you and requests me to allow him to sleep with your sister, how will you feel? Will you allow him? He said, I know. Your aunt? No. Your mom? Damn it, I can't. And the Prophet, the list went on. He mentioned a number of female relatives. And the boy said, I can't do that. Then he said, if I allow you, you will be doing it to a sister to someone, a mother to someone, an aunt to someone. And like that. What do you think? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I think I can't do it. I have given up. But pray for me that I forget about this thing. Then the Prophet prayed for him, and he never, it didn't come again into his mind, something like, I want to do zina again. That was a miracle. So one of the Islamic techniques of dealing with stress is always think the consequences of what you want to do. will always lead to stress, because a person who is a sinner is very stressful. Because every time, sometimes you walk, you think people know what you did yesterday. You think people know what you did the other day. So why? You are a sinner. And one of the ways is avoid sinning.
The aspect of counseling, very important that you have brought in this aspect. Most of our scholars, apparently, they are very educated and very knowledgeable, but they are very lacking in the way that they do transmit that knowledge to their recipients. What is your take on matters whereby our scholars have become resistant to going to secular education so that they can learn about techniques and ways and means of stress management, which, coupled with the Islamic knowledge that they have, they would be at a better position to manage stress.
Very important point, very important point. And I want to say this. I will say this, and if you want examples, I can give examples. I cannot shy off that a number of our Muslim scholars have contributed into actually creating an environment that is not favorable for some Muslims to live. Mm-hmm. Scholars, mashallah, Muslim scholars have equipped themselves with knowledge, Islamic knowledge, banks, alhamdulillah. But what is wrong if I take a 3 months course, 6 months course, 1 year course on Islamic versus secular integration of certain aspect, like stress, for example, like counseling. You go to a sheikh, you say, Sheikh, I've done ABCD. And the sheikh, before even addressing the issue, he start abusing you, or like, why did you do this? Yeah. Youth of nowadays, you're just useless. Didn't you know it was haram? And you feel like, I've come to you, I want someone to hear me. But this is your comment. Why? I'll give an example. I'm not very sure about the authenticity of this hadith, but it is hadith sahih. According to some scholars, there is a man who had killed 99 people. And then he approached the local sheikh and said, Sheikh, will Allah forgive me? I've killed 99 people. And the sheikh was very fast and said, what? 99 people? A'udhu billah. You are far away from the mercy of God. Get out of my face. And the man felt like, if I have killed 99, what is the difference between 99 and this one? And he killed him. He said, let me complete 100. Let me now go to Jahannam completely. But because of what we call, you talk to yourself, the inner discussion. He sat down, and this is one way of dealing with stress. When there is something which you feel like you can't control yourself, sit down alone, and this is hadith of the Prophet, sit down alone and cry. Crying is allowed in Islam. In fact, there are different ways of tears. Yeah. Tears is very healthy. No. Even the Prophet ﷺ used to cry a number of times. Cry, let it go out. Now think, why did I do this? Then from there, clean your heart, ask for forgiveness, and Allah is going to forgive you.
Before we get to indulge into the Islamic solutions to stress management, we see that the Western world has really taken the issue of stress management to higher levels, whereby they've opened all kinds of institutions to help people in managing stress. And in the concept of stress management, they talk about assisted management, that there's a second party or a third party who assists the victim to manage their stress. What can we do as Muslims to get to those levels? Or how can we integrate our Islamic kind of stress management to be interactive in the manner as which the Western world have done?
But they borrowed from us, Salim. Oh. Yeah, they borrowed from us. That's why I'm saying, scholars, let us not read Islamic studies alone and stay there. Let's go back into these books and try to find out. When I was doing counseling, and the lecturer was, every time the lecturer talks and gives lectures, I feel like this guy is just talking about Islam. So that's why I came with the skills I learned in counseling, the secular counseling, then made it, Islamized it, and wrote a book on stress management. And the topic is about counseling, Islamic counseling. There is what we call social-religious, social-spiritual counseling techniques. And the Prophet ﷺ used this in different instances. There is this man who was very poor, and he was stressed. He used to beg during the Prophet's time. He used to beg, actually, with the plate, and he went to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ several times to beg. One day the Prophet called him. He asked him, young man, what's wrong with you? Why do you beg daily? He said, I don't have food, I don't have any source of income, blah, blah, I'm really stressed. And the Prophet asked him, go home, bring anything that you have at home. He said, I have nothing. He said, go and bring anything that you have. This man came with something, a piece of cloth and counsel, something like that. And the Prophet did auction. He said, who wants to buy this? At this amount. Someone said to me, he added amount until the amount that they got was enough to buy an axe. The Prophet ordered for an axe. He himself assisted in making it and gave this man. This is the second, third party involvement that the secular world took it. The Prophet was involved in solving the problem of this person. And what is counseling? Counseling is me opening part of your brain and making you understand, being aware that I can solve my problem myself. The third party does not solve any problem for you. It is you. He is there to assist you. He's there to brush. It's just cleaning the dust that has blocked some parts of your mind. You feel like you're in darkness, just shedding some light in your brain. Oh, kumbe, I can do this alone. And the Prophet made an axe for him and said, go. I don't want to see you in this village. I don't want to see you in this town again, begging. This man disappeared for 1 week. The next time he came, he was selling firewood. Now, no begging anymore. That is just one situation. Another situation, I'm saying this because they borrowed from us. We need third party. Sometimes when a person is stressful, he cannot do anything at all. He becomes dormant, stagnant, and unproductive.
Quickly, because of interest of time, 3 to 5 solutions that Islam has proposed to manage stress.
Let us not be greedy. Let us not be greedy. Islam wants us to be satisfied with what we have. Tawakkul, number 2. Reliance, total, ultimate reliance to Allah. Knowing that whatever is happening to me is happening because Allah had planned. And therefore I should not, treat it with resistance. Number 3, niyyah. Our intention towards life, if it is good, we will have a simple life. If our intention is to gain fame, if our intention is to be like someone else, to copy other people's lives, I'm telling you, we will be in trouble. Number 4, let us be pious at our best level. Avoid sinning. Don't do it even once. Don't try. Don't say, let me do once, maybe smoke a little bit and then I'll see. Let me do zina once and then, no. Sinning, as I said earlier, when we avoid sinning, is one way of dealing with stress. And lastly, there's so many. In my book, there are 52 Islamic techniques of dealing with stress. But one of the major of all is dhikr. Dhikr. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Quran says, by the remembrance of Allah, there is tranquility of the heart. Allah, in a hadith, Allah says, if you remember me, I remember you. Every time you say Allah, you remember Allah, subhanallah, Allah lowers down tranquility in your heart. Those are 5. There are so many.
We are taught in Islam that our conditions will not change until we ourselves get to change our conditions. What is your closing word to all those who are stressed, they're living in stressful conditions, and they would like to manage their situations? They would like to take charge of their stressful conditions and manage them towards a better life.
If you are living in stressful condition, or you think you're living in stressful condition, talk about it. Talk to someone. Don't shy off. Don't feel like you will die alone. No. Talk about it. Tell someone, I feel ABCD. What do you think about that? And always talk to someone that you trust. Read books. Don't just die alone. Go and read books. If you can go to online portal, go read books about stress. I'm telling you, there's so many information on how to deal with stress. Alhamdulillah, I think it's the first book right now in Kenya talking about stress management from the Islamic perspective. If you can afford it, buy it. If you can get it, buy it. Read. There is someone who bought it and he looked at the cover and said, I feel like I don't want to read it. The moment he started, he did not stop reading it until the end of the book. So what I mean here is, number 1, always talk share with someone. If you feel it is your wife, talk to your brother. If you feel it is your husband, talk to someone else, talk to your dad. Go to someone you trust, a sister, a brother in Islam. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, with prayers, and always maintain prayers. After prayers, raise up your hands. Ya Allah, open the doors for me. What's happening in my life? I'm telling you, Brother Salim, in 2-3 days, you will see changes.
Thank you very much, Brother Yusuf Maroka. We have been speaking about the issue of stress management and Islamic perspective. Viewers, we all do have our objectives in life that we have to meet, and we all do understand that sometimes the resources that we do have may not be enough to meet those objectives. We also do understand that the demands that we have from the people that we live with, be it our children, be it our wives, be it our husbands, that we may not be able to meet them. Also, we do understand that as human beings, we have our own personal desires. And as long as these desires are halal and not haram, that we would like to meet them. But the situation, the environment, the resources might not be enough. Let us not lead ourselves into a situation of stress. Let us always remember that there are those who have been less endowed with the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than us. There are those who have more, there are those who have less. Let us always learn to look at those who have less so that we can always appreciate upon the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I will leave you with the verses of the Quran. Without doubt, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find tranquility. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.